Before this video starts, I want to go and say that this is a different video to what I usually post on this channel, but the conversation around Rich Amiri and internet money artists has been going on for a little while now, and I sort of just wanted to voice my opinions on it. This video is kind of in response to something that I watched titled Rich Amiri, Underground Rap's First Industry Plant. The whole video was kind of biased towards the fact that he was an industry plant. However, there was good points raised and I will reiterate them throughout this video, but for the most part I'm going to try and show the other side of the argument and that he isn't an industry plant. So the definition that I'm going to be using is very similar, if not identical, to the one that Patrick CC used in his video about Ian Dior, and that is being someone who has no recorded history of music, being picked up by a label, being given a genre and a character, and instantly becoming successful. Or an individual or group that was picked up by a label who already made one genre of music, but were told to change character or change genres to become more commercially successful. Now, this conversation really started a couple of years ago with Ian Dior being signed to Internet Money. Dro Kenji was also thrown into the conversation, but it's now landed on Rich Amiri after his release of One Call, which is currently set at 103 million plays on Spotify. And I'm guessing that its success on both TikTok and Spotify has left some sort of skeptics amongst the community of whether he was planted or if he is naturally grown. So going from the beginning and sort of sticking to the definition, Rich Amiri does fit the definition of an industry plant, but it doesn't necessarily make him one through and through. One of the main arguments thrown around is that Rich Amiri is a fake gangster or a character, and if you know the context of him going to engineering school and stuff like that, it does seem that way. But the way that I would see it, and a couple of other people see it, is that if he continued that character of him in engineering school and worked on a genre of music that he liked as a hobby, they wouldn't really mix together well. And as a whole, characters have become more prevalent in the music industry with people like Oliver Tree coming in and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is, could you imagine a rapper on those types of beats sort of going on about mundane tasks like going to the shop? It just wouldn't work. It's become more common for rappers to lie or stretch the truth about what they've been going through and their experiences in life, but that's normal. The genre that Rich Amiri really sits in is, I'd coin it as emo rap, or even if it's a slight twist on the fact. Either way, most rap genres talk about addiction, money, girls, all that sort of stuff, which Rich Amiri still does. So it's like he's fitting into the genre and playing a character at the same time. One of the more legitimate arguments raised in the mentioned video is that 10K Records and Internet Money have been allegedly known for botting, which could be seen as a negative thing as it promotes artificial growth and leads to a bigger decline when eventually it comes. But it could also be a slight smart business move from the labels as they're trying to get a kickstart in the algorithm against songs that they're trying to compete with the bigger labels such as Sony and Universal. To say that these artists rely solely on botting their marketing is probably not true in the slightest. There might be a slight bit of botting going on, but yet again that's common for most artists. The issue that I have that in the mentioned video he brings up YouTube comments as if that is not one of the more popular places to find random bots. And they decided to bring up the statistics to sort of try and back the fact that he's being botted even though he has had an incredible surge of growth thanks to One Call being released. I also want to briefly touch on the Dro Kenji slander that was thrown around in this video, calling him a fake Juice WRLD, which leads me on to my next point almost perfectly, as it seems that if you go through the discography you can see that they have been found in a very similar way to Juice WRLD. If you go to the earliest release song on Spotify of both Dro Kenji and Rich Amiri, you'll see that they were released in 2019. Dro Kenji was 17 at the time and Rich Amiri was around 15 or 16 at the time of this release. And one interesting thing that I found from this little research thing that I did, which took me all of about 2 minutes, was that it took 3 songs for Dro Kenji to get one with an Internet Money producer or the team. And even the song before that, you could see that he had found the melodic style that he uses today. And in the case of Rich Amiri, his first song with an Internet Money producer came a whole 3 years after his first release on Spotify. Which brings up the main point that people are missing out when they're throwing around industry plant as a term. And that is the majority of the people facing these accusations of being an industry plant were found when they were incredibly young teenagers, and the people that picked them up had seen their talent and thought that they could be grown into something way bigger, which is exactly identical to how Side Piece and Nick Mira found Juice WRLD. It's no different. This way of finding young artists has been detrimental to small labels such as Internet Money or 10K Records, as they are able to pick them up as they are fresh and new and develop them and help them learn the skills that they need to become a successful artist. Listening to Dro Kenji and Rich Amiri's first songs, you can see that the talent is there, but they just needed that extra help and the extra resources that being with a big label or a team of producers will bring with them. My next point being that One Call doesn't quite fit in terms of numbers on the album. You know, it's massively bigger than the rest of the songs. It's currently sat, as I said, on 103 million plays, and then he has one called Kurt Cobain on the same album, which is stat on 500,000. But let's not forget that one call has been viewed on TikTok something stupid like 2 billion times. What I'm getting at, with a song being viewed 2 billion times on TikTok, only 5% of the audience has to go over to Spotify and stream it for it to get to 100 million views. And that doesn't account for replays of actual fans that existed before the fact. It sort of just roughly works from the TikTok numbers. So getting a song to 100 million views after 2 billion views on TikTok just seems more and more likely. And even if the label was to go through the effort of botting one song, why wouldn't they just sort of cash it out and even it out across the album? I don't see the point in having one breakout song that stands head and shoulders above the rest and then not touching the other ones. So I suppose that the real point of all of this is that if the song is good, it's good. You can listen to it. It doesn't matter about who made it or the background of that person, the history of it. If the song sounds good in the moment and you like it, you can listen to that song. But labeling Rich Amiri as an industry plant after a successful song on TikTok just seems like a massive overstretch in my opinion, and it's not really worth the effort or the scrutiny looking into it. In the video that I mentioned, he does come with some form of receipts and videos and text messages of conversations saying that Rich Amiri is botted by people who either work for the companies or knew him personally, and that he had openly admitted to it. But then just as equally, there are tweets and Instagram comments from Rich Amiri himself backing that he hasn't, or at least not to the extent that he has been alleged to. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think the industry plant has been massively overused in the past couple of years? Or do you think that Rich Amiri and Joe Kenji really deserve the title? I'll be interested to see if you have any opinions on this, and if you do, please do share them with me. As it stands, I'm still on the fence about Rich Amiri, as it does seem a little bit suspicious, but it could be completely natural. But if anyone thinks otherwise, make sure to go down into the comments and let me know, and I shall see you all again very soon.